Okay. So with that, let's get into it. So just a quick roadmap for what we'll talk about today. I'll do like a really brief section at the beginning about just some changes to the BC Summer Reading Club for this year and just some accessible reading resources. And then we'll jump pretty quickly into talking about the events calendar, um, creating events, recurring events, and series. And then after that, we'll go into talking about the RSVP and ticketing add-on, which is our registrations and waitlists. And I've tried to kind of build today's session around things that I've been storing in my mind, questions that I've been getting from folks over the months and things that come up routinely as kind of sticky pain points. So hopefully I've done a good job of that. And the information today will be useful. And we'll have, of course, that time for questions as well for things that maybe you want to go into further detail on. So let's start with talking about the Summer Reading Club info. So the big change this year is that they are running an age expansion pilot. So kids aged 0 to 5 are now officially eligible to participate in the program. This will be the first year of their kind of multi-year pilot exploration into finding better ways to include more age groups, how to include families that have younger children, especially families with kids who are over 5 who have younger siblings under 5. And this pilot came about for a number of reasons. One of them was just to offer consistency in terms of access across the province. So they were hearing stories of, some parents going to their library in one town and they were able to get a reading record for their children under 5, and then other parents going to their libraries in other municipalities and not being able to get a reading record. So just trying to make a bit more consistency in that access. And then the team also recognized they have this unique opportunity to bridge multiple age ranges and foster strong connections between families and libraries to create family traditions that last throughout an entire young childhood. And I think some of you folks may have also been at BCLA this year, but I watched them present about this, and it is by no means like a unanimous decision that this is the way they want to go. So I think that's why it's a pilot. But there are lots of really valid points getting brought up around like what about like the tween age group and that kind of thing. So I put the link to the FAQ so you can read more about that if you're curious. And I'd be curious to hear from some of you like directly in your libraries, like what the effects of this are on your library, or if you have any experiences that are relevant to share. Something else for BC Summer Reading Club. The BC Library Co-op has built a French ebook and audiobook collection called Bibliothèque Numérique Digital Library. It's available for all public libraries in the province of BC, and we're really hoping to promote this collection throughout BC Summer Reading Club. And this collection has more than 5,000 French language ebooks and e-audiobooks for all ages. So I encourage you to check that out with any of your French language readers throughout the summer. And I'll also just touch here on accessible formats. So of course, NNELS, we have the BC Summer Reading Club list of recommended reading, and these titles are available in a variety of accessible formats. So MP3, DAISY, electronic braille, and EPUB. And if you need a different format produced for any of your eligible readers, please don't hesitate to put in a book request. Our team will be able to get to that and produce it or purchase it if it's commercially available. And that book list is available on nels.ca. I'll also put the link here for that one. And for our Manitoba libraries, the TD Summer Reading Club recommended reads are also on NNELS and CELA. And the theme for both those reading clubs is the same this year. So many of the BC reading suggestions will also be relevant to your readers. And just going to put that book list on the TD Summer Reading Club page there for you too. And there isn't like a nice tidy book list on NNELS for this one, but I was just individually searching the titles and I found quite a few of them to be available and accessible. So just some information there for you to take forward into your summer reading club adventures. And I'll just pause here. I don't see any questions, but we'll just take a quick beat and mentally shift our attention into the main reason why we're joined here together today, which is the events calendar, TEC, or tech, we sometimes call it. And I believe we will all be familiar with these definitions, but I wanted to start all on the same page. So when we talk about events, when we say event, this is just the default standalone event with a single occurrence. We also talk about recurring events. So that's just any event that occurs multiple times. We talk about exceptions. I believe they used to call this exclusions in the plugin, but it's been updated to exceptions. So these are just dates that you want to exclude from your recurring event. And then we also have series, which is similar to recurring event, but different. Series is a way to group together collections of events that can be promoted together. And these can be a combination of recurring events and standalone events. So a bit more flexible than just the straight recurring event. And the next, 45 minutes of our time together will be spent on our Maple demo site, where we'll start at the events admin area and then we'll go through looking at a single standalone summer reading club event and some of the finer details of that editing window. We'll talk about patterned and non-patterned recurring events, and we'll add an exception to our recurring event. We will create a series for our summer reading club programs and we'll add an event to it. And then we'll also look at adding registration to an event, and we'll discuss the two types of waitlists that exist within the tech plugin. So if there are any questions about that, please feel free to let me know in the chat. And if not, I'm going to now switch my screen share over to our browser window so we can take a look at the Maple demo site. So let me just move some things around here. I have two monitors, but it's still not enough. I just always want more space on my screen. So here we have our Maple demo site, and I'm going to go over back to our dashboard, and I'm going to start in on the events admin area. So that is everything in this menu here. And I won't spend too much time on the obvious ones since you've all been using the events calendar for a while, but I did want to start at the top. And there's this manager view this in this all events kind of view area. I wanted to show this because this is actually something that I didn't even know about for the longest time, but it allows you to toggle between the list view of all your events and a calendar view. So just depending on how your brain works, you might find that you like this manager view better, and you can edit and manipulate your events like from this view, just the same as you would be able to do from the list. So I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, not something that I knew existed and then found it and thought, hey, that's kind of cool. So right below that is, of course, our adding new event. I'm going to skip over tags because we don't generally make use of tags in LibPress. We'll go straight down to event categories, which are important for filtering your events based on audience. You can apply more than one category to an event. And we try to avoid creating categories that are really detailed and specific, like Summer Reading Club. That would be better handled through a series. And you can add new event categories from here as well, or you can add them directly in your events that you're creating. And with series, this shows you all of the series that you have created, and it will show you which events are part of these series. Each series will also have a landing page with a nice tidy URL that you can link to, where your users can go to see all of your related events in one place. We also make use of venues and organizers. We don't really use categories for these two, so I'll skip the category kind of like sub item. But for venues, this is helpful if you have several branches, community partner locations, or even just different rooms within your library. And for these, if you add an address or any kind of information like that, it gets shown on the event page, but it also gets added to what's called the event schema. And this is like a hidden metadata field that gets used by search engines. So all the information that you're adding about your venues is helpful to be shown like visually on your site, but just know that it is also optimizing your event to get found in search engines and making it easier for more people to find out about your events. Right below that is organizers. So this is a great place to highlight staff contact information, and just like venues, any information that gets added here, like contact details, gets added on your event page. And we aren't talking about the community calendar today, but this is pretty useful for LibPress libraries that subscribe to that community calendar add-on, because it allows you to manage and store that information about all of your community event partners. The last two on here are import and calendar embeds, and they do kind of similar but opposite things. Import is a way for you to bring in calendar information from elsewhere, other websites. This is something that I would like to work with you on if you have ideas for that. So if that makes a light bulb go on for you and you want to explore something in that avenue, please let me know and send me a ticket and we can chat more about it. And then directly below that is the embed. So this is a way to get a little code snippet made up out of your own calendar, and you can choose the categories, can be really specific. You can do only kids events, and then you get this embed snippet and you can take that little bit of code and you can put it on another website. So lots of different potential uses for that, but just so you know that that is there, and I am available to help you go through that process if it's interesting to you. So that is our events admin area. I'm going to take us back to our full list of events, and we'll just I won't fully recap how to make a single standalone event, but I just wanted to highlight some important bits of it. So I've created in advance this Summer Reading Club launch party event, and based on some of the questions I've been getting recently, I wanted to touch upon the permalink. So that's up here. This is the URL for the single event page. And this end part that's bold is called our slug. Oops, didn't mean to click on that. We can call it the end part of the URL or the slug. It auto-populates based on whatever you put in as the event title the first time you write a title. So if you go back and change your title later, the slug doesn't update. So that's something to be mindful of. And also, you can change it anytime you want. The only consideration is that if you've linked to that anywhere on your site, or if anybody's linked to it outside of your site, it will break the link. So, um, best practice is to kind of set it once and not mess around with it too much. But if you do need to change it, it's not the end of the world unless it's something that's been like quite heavily linked to elsewhere on your site or outside of your site. I also wanted to talk about the featured image area. So the events calendar is optimized for square images. And I know there's been some back and forth around the square images or the rectangular images, and we've talked about different things at different times, but it is optimized for square images. And one of the reasons for that is because in this upcoming events widget, it uses square images. So you'll see here that it's going to cut off some of the sides of that rectangular image, but that's not a problem anywhere else. It will show the full rectangular image on the month view, and it will show the full rectangular image on the list view. So kind of what I've been saying recently is like consistency, whatever you choose. If you want to do square, do square. If you want to do rectangle, do rectangle. Just make sure all of your images have been formatted to be the exact same size, and you'll get this nice, tidy view. If you had square and rectangle, you get some inconsistencies in some of the views. So another consideration, of course, is just the text size and text amount in your featured image. It gets pretty small on mobile. So just knowing that, even this font is going to get pretty small on mobile view. So just keeping that in mind as well. So those are just the couple things on the standalone event that I wanted to recap. And I wanted to then go right into looking at our recurring events, because this has been one that I've been getting quite a few questions about lately. So I've started a draft here for a sensory summer reading club program. This is an idea I borrowed from the Vancouver Public Library. I was just kind of browsing their events calendar, and they had this kind of program that I thought was kind of cool and interesting. Hadn't seen this before, so I'm just borrowing their idea for the sake of an example. And when you set up your event, we have this time and date area, of course, and this is what we're focusing on down here is this recurring event area. And recurring events can be either patterned or non-patterned. And I want to kind of go over a little more what that means. So I'm going to switch back to my slideshow here for a sec. So with the patterned recurring events, these are ones that are set to repeat on a daily, weekly, monthly, or even yearly basis. And this just means same time and like same time every day on that schedule. So some examples would be this, the first example here is weekly, a computer class that happens every week, same day of the week, Wednesday, for a set amount of time. We also have a daily example of like a summer book camp that happens every single day for 1 week from 9 to 1, the exact same time every day. We have this monthly example. So like every second Friday of the month, same time, board meeting happens. And even this yearly example of like a holiday celebration that happens on the same day every single year. So this is one way, and probably the most common way that you're going to be creating your recurring events. And so for this one, we use the schedule multiple events area. And then as soon as we start editing this happens area, we choose daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. That's when we're going to start getting more options below of how to customize within that recurring schedule. So, each one's a bit different. So we're going to go weekly on this. It's going to lock it to Wednesdays because this is a Wednesday. And we can do every other week if we wanted to. It's really, really, really flexible. So basically any kind of like consistently repeating schedule that you want to create for your events, there will probably be a way to do it. It's important to note that you can only add one recurrence pattern per event. So if you had an event that was going to recur weekly and then it was going to switch to monthly at a certain date or something like that, you would have to create two separate events for that and then maybe combine them together under a series, which we'll look at a bit later today. I wanted to go over the ends. So we do happens weekly every 1 week on Wednesdays, and it ends. You can choose on, after, or never. On is a specific date, and something here to be mindful of is that it's going to set the default as 1 year. So sometimes if you're in a rush and you go on and then you're like, okay, I want it to end in July because I started it in June, you're already in 2027. And this is very annoying. And I wish it wasn't the default, but it is. So I'm just going to walk us back here to 2026. So we could choose, let's end it on, we're going to go all summer. We'll end it on August 31st. So I would select August 31st here, and that would actually mean that the last instance of this program would be on Wednesday, the 26th, because it's just on Wednesdays. So it's like you don't have to get the date exactly right. If you get it like a few days after the last Wednesday, it's just going to default to the last Wednesday, if that makes sense. So the after option is going to allow you to set a certain number of occurrences. So yeah, and it always gives you this little like rundown here of like what you've selected. So I like that. It's very helpful. And then never just means that it's going to go indefinitely. And in the context of the events calendar plugin, indefinite is 5 years. So it'll just recur for 5 years until you stop it or cancel the event or delete the event from your calendar. So say let's say we make our choice to have it recur until the end of summer. And we can also add exceptions by using this event will not occur. So we know that we have some stat holidays. For this specifically, we have a Wednesday here that's Canada Day. So we can choose to exclude that. And my best practice is to leave this once, just leave that alone. It does give you this flexibility to add exceptions on these rolling basis, like daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. I honestly can't think of a reason why you would use that. But I mean, the events calendar isn't built just for libraries. It's built for, events management in general across many different sectors. So sometimes when something doesn't make sense to me, I go, maybe it makes sense to somebody out there. So I would just advise you to just set your exceptions one by one, because you can always add another one and another one and another one. And then keep adding them individually. So that is our exceptions. And so that's our patterned recurring event with exceptions. And we can also take a look at our non-patterned recurring events. So, let's imagine that this book club, or the sensory reading club took place multiple times, that it wasn't on a regular repeating date and time. So non-pattern recurring events are the exact same event. It occurs more than once, but it's not on a set schedule. So some examples could be, you have a musical group in town and they're going to do the exact same concert Friday night at 7 and Saturday at noon. So you don't need to change any of the details except for the time and date. Could be also something like a story time that takes place on an ongoing basis, but it's on irregular days and times. Like maybe you have a daycare, in the area that comes at a certain time. But then, there's just lots of different ways that your schedule could be irregular, so that this allows you a way to kind of like repeat that event without having to stick very strictly to that repeating schedule. So I wanted to take us back to the Maple demo site here and kind of take a look at how we would do that. So I'm also going to use this garbage can. You can use this to get rid of any of the recurring patterns or exceptions that you've created. So to add these non-pattern events, we will still use the same add more events area. And we'll leave that default happens once there, but we'll use it we'll just leave it on once, because this allows us, similar to how adding the exceptions, you added them like one by one individually, we can also do that with the recurrences. So say we wanted to have this book club happen, 2 days in a row. So it's going to happen, June 24th. And we're also going to have it on June 25th. We're having it at different times. So we'll do like an afternoon one or something the next day. So this allows us to have a recurrence. It's not on a regular, it's daily, but it's not at the same time. So that's kind of a use for that non-patterned. And then you could even add a recurring pattern, and then you could use add more events happens once. You could add, to that recurring pattern that we just created before this, we could have added a one-off to it. So yeah, it can get a little like, you can get really in the weeds with it, but ultimately it's just quite powerful and flexible. And all these different examples will make more sense, I think, when you're applying it to your actual events and the actual schedules that you're using. So I'm going to publish this, and I'm going to go to the front end and take a look at it. So before we fully move away from talking about recurring events um, and into series, there's kind of I wanted to talk to you about this funny thing where every time you create a recurring event, the events calendar automatically creates a series for you using the title of that recurring event. So sometimes this can be really helpful, but sometimes it isn't, and sometimes it's not what we need. So you'll see here we have our Sensory Summer Reading Club, and it's created us this event series with that same title, and it's put both of our events under it. So, this could be helpful if you have a series of events and that's all that's going to be going in it. But if we're thinking about our summer reading club, we want to have a series that can be used for our entire programming selection for that program. So it makes sense for us to go maybe and change that series title to something more widely descriptive for summer reading club, so that we can use it for other events like our launch party and whatever else we might have coming up. So I wanted to show you how to do that. So we're going to go back to dashboard and go into our events area and then go straight to series, and you'll see that series that was just created. So we can go in and edit that, and I'm just gonna get rid of that and call it Summer Reading Club. So you'll see that, I'm gonna update it actually, just to show an example here of we have updated that title, but that permalink is staying the same. So I think it's an okay time to change this right now because we haven't linked to it anywhere. It's a brand new series. So I'm going to change that slug so that we get our nice summer reading club permalink, and that'll be like the nice page where all of our summer reading club events show up. So something to keep in mind with, these auto-generated series that crop up every time you create a recurring event. You might get a lot of series in this list if your library does a lot of recurring events. And we can clean that list up. The events here, this is showing how many events are in each series. You aren't able to delete an event unless it has zero, or sorry, you're not allowed to delete a series unless it has zero events in it. So if you ever need a hand going through that and doing a cleanup, if you kind of go take a look at your series and find that you have, a high number that you'd like to maybe pare down, just let me know and we can work on that together. Another way to start a new series, so of course you can do it here through add new series. We created that series through the recurring event, but you can also start your series first by adding it from this view right here. So just a couple of different ways to start your series. And something we wanted to also do was add our Summer Reading Club launch party event, the single standalone event that we looked at the very beginning. I want to add that to the Summer Reading Club series as well. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. When you're in the series view, you can go and take a look at all of the events that you have available to add to that series. So these are all of our upcoming events that are published. There's only a couple here because I don't have a ton on the sample site, but you'll see that we have the Summer Reading Club launch party. So from here, you would be able to click that, and then it would add it to this list of all the events that are in that series. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is from our main events list view, and you can go into the Summer Reading Club launch party event, and then you can scroll down, and on the right, we have this like series modal here, and it allows you to go through the list of available series. So we could select Summer Reading Club here. This also gives you an opportunity to create a series. So if you wanted something brand new that didn't exist yet, you could even just type it in here, and then you would click create, and it would create a new series for you and add this event to it. So lots of different ways to do the same thing. They'll all kind of get you to the same place at the end. So I'm going to add this to our Summer Reading Club series in this view since we're here, and I'll update. And then we should be able to go in here now back to our series view, take a look, and now we have all these events grouped together under the series of Summer Reading Club, and we can take a look at our permalink here too and just have a peek. So something else you'll notice here is the featured. So I've set the Summer Reading Club launch party as a featured event. That means it's going to get this kind of little extra pizzazz here with styling. And that also means that it's going to be highlighted on our events calendar, which you may have seen when we were there earlier. Gives it that little ribbon icon, and then it shows the picture, the featured image, and it gives it this little bar. So just, and it'll stay sticky on that date, which means that it'll always stay visible on that date. If you have other programs on that date, it will just kind of knock them off the view in the month view, but you'll still be able to see them in the list. So that's just something that you might want to do for your, the events that you really want to promote. And I would suggest use it sparingly. Use it only for things that are really kind of like special and unique that you really want to pull interest for. So that is, where are we at time? Oh yeah, not doing bad. Okay. So that's kind of the end of the patterned, recurring pattern, non-recurring pattern series section. And the last part that I want to go through is registration and waitlist. So I'll be adding a registration to one of the events and then talking about the wait lists. So I'll just take a quick pause here and have like a little drink of water and see if there are any questions about anything that we've gone over thus far. Cool. Okay. I will keep charging ahead. So yeah, the final little segment here that I have planned is for registration and wait lists. The RSVP or ticketing module that we use for registration is a paid add-on to your basic events calendar subscription through the co-op. So this might not be something that everybody has. But if you're not using the ticketing add-on yet, today will be interesting for you to see how it works. And you can always choose to add it on to your LibPress plan at any time. So let's go back to take a look at our Summer Reading Club launch party event. So that was our single standalone event. And it's important to know that RSVP or ticketing can't be applied to a set of recurring events. You have a couple options for how to work around that. One of them is to create a standalone single event, add it to your series, and set it up as kind of like a registration page for the entire series of events, and then get people to sign up that way. Or you can go through and convert each of your recurring events to single events and give them their own RSVP form manually. And neither of those is a perfect solution. Can be the second one gives you a bit more control, but it's more time consuming. And the first one is simpler and faster, but doesn't give you as much control. So, yeah, they have their drawbacks. But if, and I'm not going to go deeply into that today, just for the sake of time. But if you are kind of like wondering about that or having questions about that, or want to think about what the best path forward for you specifically in your library would be, please let me know. We can chat about that afterwards through Ticket, or there's a bit more information in the LibPress manual as well. I'm also in the process of overhauling the events section of the manual, so hopefully in time, in a couple months, it'll be a lot more comprehensive and get tidied up in there. So let's see. Yeah, we're looking at our event here. I'm going to scroll down to this ticketing area. We'll see the new RSVP here. So we'll click that. So yeah, creating the registration form itself is pretty straightforward. We're in our tickets area. We've added the new RSVP. We'll give it the RSVP a name. Description is optional. Some people like to put a privacy policy or like a collection of information, some blurb in there, but it's not mandatory. It uses the start sale, end sale language, again, because this is a plugin for lots of different sectors. It can sometimes be more geared to like selling tickets. So I like to start the RSVP and then, sometimes I'll end it. What day is it? 19th. So we'll end it maybe like the day before. And then you choose your capacity. Let's do a big one for this. And then further information, you can set up your RSVP form to collect further information from people. Things like specifically for children's events, if there's snacks like allergy notes or contact information for a parent or guardian. And there's all these different types of fields that you can use. And you can also create a field set and then reuse it. So I have an existing one here from a past program. So it's setting it up for a children's program to collect the first name, last name, age, phone number for parent or guardian, and then a checkbox confirmation that the child's the correct age range for this specific program. We could set up basically anything we wanted, and then save it as a field set so that it could be used on other tickets. So I just wanted to show you that pop down area where you would collect more info. So, okay, we've got our capacity. We're using our extra attendee information. Um, and then let's save our RSVP. And there has been a funny emerging bug lately where clicking save RSVP and then saving the event hasn't been working properly, but it's intermittent. So just if you do notice that happening when you're saving your RSVPs, please let me know. We're collecting information on those different occurrences right now. So let's see here. So that is our RSVP saved. confirmation emails get automatically sent to every patron that registered, and there's also a way for them to then contact you through that email to either cancel if they need to. So let's go to the front end of the site right now, just quickly have a look at that. So this is what it's going to look like. Shows you your description would have gone here if you added that blurb, how many seats are remaining, and then your button to select going. And then it's going to collect all of that information that we set it up to collect. And then click finish, and that's when they would get added to the list and get that confirmation email sent out to them. So let's just fill this in just so we get some information. And we'll finish. And that's what your patrons would see after they register. And then staff can view attendee information from two places. So one of the places is from this events admin view. We'll go into the full event list, and then you can take a look in. So here's the event right here. And we have this attendees column, and we now see that we have one attendee, which is 2%. The program is now 2% full. So the best way to find your attendee information is through this view, and click on that here, and then you get this really handy dandy page that gathers up all of the information that you're going to need regarding attendance for that program. So we can see our registrant here. And you can export the list. So once you have a full attendee list, you could export that, use it for signing people in, that kind of thing. So that's a helpful place. You can also view ticket and attendee information from this tickets area, which is directly below events in the dashboard and go straight to attendees. But this isn't the most handy because it shows you all attendees for every single program. Can get a little messy in there. So I would always suggest going from the other way. I also want to mention most of you might have the site manager role. There's also an events manager role that can be assigned to your staff. This role has restricted access to only events management. So if you have temporary staff, summer reading club staff, coordinators, volunteers, that kind of thing that you want to be able to manage events but not do anything else on the site, that is also available. So this takes us to our last little section on waitlists. So our two ways of making a wait list, we have what I've been calling the old way and what we've been calling the new way. The old way is probably what you'd be familiar with if you have been using tech for a while. And we kind of had devised this way to create wait lists before tech had a built-in option. And this one is achieved by creating those two RSVP ticket types of registration and waitlist. There's an example on our Maple demo site, which I will give you the link for here so you can open it and take a look. I will probably also open it afterwards and take a look. So this is where there will be two different RSVP types. That second ticket type of waitlist keeps an ordered list of waitlisted attendees. Staff would be tasked with manually moving attendees over to the registration list as spots become available, and staff would manually choose to email patrons to let them know when they have been moved from the wait list over to the registered list. So benefits of this one is that you get a lot of control over your wait list. It'll keeps that ordered list. The drawbacks are maybe just like the staff time involved in managing it. And maybe we'll go take a look at both of these types after I show you the second one, which is this new kind of like automated method. So I think it was last fall, the events calendar added a new feature, which is the waitlist. They didn't have one before. And yeah, just keeping in mind, as we mentioned earlier, the events calendar isn't specifically built for a library audience, so not all of their features work well specifically for a library purpose. And there's an example of this automated waitlist on the Maple demo site as well. For this one, staff would just kind of turn on this built-in waitlist that is within the event listing itself. and you would set it up the exact same way as we just did in that example that we did together on the site. When that registration gets full, it switches to this different view where a notify me button appears and patrons will click that button to get signed up for the wait list. But the drawback for this is that the wait list is just kind of like a pool. And when a spot opens up on the registration list, an automated email goes out to everybody in that waitlist pool. And then it's kind of the responsibility is then on the patron to check that email, see that email, go back to your website, go back into the event, and first come, first serve to claim that open spot. So, there are some advantages there in terms of like staff time. You can kind of just set it and forget it, but you don't get that ordered control of like this person's first on the wait list, this person's second on the wait list. So it could have potential to be frustrating or to raise, conflict within a community if there's, popular events with really limited seats and the attendance is kind of competitive. Um, could be useful though if you want to save on staff time for events that maybe don't require as much precision around the wait list. And yeah, the disadvantage there is that the list is not kept ordered. That's like I'd say like the number one drawback there. So I'm just going to switch back and we can take a quick look at kind of what those look like on the back end. So this one here is get back to the main page. Yeah, this one here is our example of that old way, the additional ticket type RSVP where you get that wait list separate from the registration. You can go in and look here at tickets. So, and then this is like the area where you would be adding that new type of wait list. It's going to show all the time, but you won't be using it if you're not using that automated wait list. So for our two ticket types, we can go into the view attendees. It'll show you who's on the registration list, who's on the wait list. You get this option here when you hover to move, and then you can choose to move attendee to a different ticket within the same event, choose the registration and finish, and then that moves them to, oh, cool, they now do an automated email. Great. Okay, so you don't have to manually email. I'm happy we did that together because it used to be that you had to manually email. So yeah, that's how you would like move people over from the wait list to the registration. And then if we refresh the page, that should say registration. Well, let's just pretend that worked. If that happens to you in the real world when you're not working on an example, please let me know because that is not what we should be seeing. We'll go over and take a look at the automated ticket type real quick here. So I've set this one up to be full, just so that we can get a look at what that notify me message looks like. Oh, thanks, Teresa. Awesome. Thank you. So Teresa's saying it always does that. Eventually it will update, but if you check the registered list, they have been moved. Awesome. That's what I thought, but always funny little things happening. And Teresa, you're always you're always, I feel like you're just like my little events sidekick because you're always finding weird little things and pointing them out to us. And I'm always grateful for that. So here on this open mic event, I've set up an example of that automated wait list. We'll go take a look at it from the back and you'll see that wait list has been set up because I clicked add RSVP wait list and we've set it to show when the RSVP capacity runs out. So that's kind of what it looks like. Really, once you set this up for the automated method, you never have to check it ever again until you want to go check your list of attendees. So yeah, there's a lot more information about, I've tried to do a thorough job in the manual of explaining the wait lists. So that was just kind of like a quick overview of it. And if you want to go into more detail and see, like what all those different windows look like as they're coming up, what the emails to the patrons look like, the specific ordered list of like how those steps all come together, please have a look at that page in the manual and let me know if you have any questions about that as you're going through it. Thank you for watching this video. For more information, please see the BC Libraries Cooperative website.